إني ألقى الإناس في صومي وصلاتي ودعائي للرحمن وجميع الطاعات.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد: إنما يتقبل الله من المتقين. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: والله في عون العبد ما كان العبد في عون أخيه. صدق الله العظيم. وقال تعالى: كان أبوهما صالحا. So my dear brothers and sisters and dear friends, relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what I want to first discuss, and the blessing of the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that comes about if we have a proper relationship. Every Muslim, every believer has a relationship with Allah, in the sense that one of the reasons why you are all here, why we are all here right now, is because of our relationship with Allah. I want to talk today about enhancing that relationship. Many people's relationship with Allah is, Allah has told me to do this and told me not to do that. So I'm going to do my best to do that, to do this and not to do that. I'm going to try to follow all of the obligations, and I'm going to try to avoid all the prohibitions. That's my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's okay. That's kind of survival relationship, to be honest. That's not the relationship that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. That's not the relationship that the Sahaba developed. They didn't stop at that. That's the basic relationship. It's like you go to work and you just want to be a decent employee. Make sure you don't ruffle any feathers. Make sure you don't get fired. And you get your paycheck at the end of the month or whenever it is. So you make sure you do what you're told to do, and you avoid making any mistakes. But once you get out of there, you don't care about the business, right? It's just puts the food on the table, like they say. You have no emotional attachment to it. You got no affinity to it, right? If there was something over and beyond your responsibility, you wouldn't really stay back to deal with it, because it's not your obligation. It's somebody else's obligation. So you don't feel a sense of ownership. And sometimes our relationship with our religion is like that. There's no love. There's no emotion. I mean, there has to be some amount of love, but there's not enough love to make it so personal. And I think that's what we need with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Ya Allah, Allah is so personal with us. He does everything for us. He can give us whatever He wants. And we don't know how to get personal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In many languages, when you call unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're allowed. For example, those of you who understand Urdu, just to take an example, I don't know enough Bangla to be able to give you an example there, but you can let me know. In Urdu, we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I used to always be worried, I used to always be surprised by this, that Tu mujhe de de, Tu mujhe kabul kar le. It's not like Aap kabul kar lo. Aap is like the respectful way. In English, it's all the same now. Before, there used to be thou and thee. That used to make a distinction between an elder and a younger person. A respectful way of saying you, and a standard casual way of saying you. In Urdu, there's still that distinction. In Gujarati, there's that distinction. In Bangla, is there distinction? In Somali, is there distinction? I don't know enough languages to be able to tell. Is that distinction in Turkish? Right? There is. Yeah. Çok şükür. Yeah. So, but in Urdu, you're using the term that you use for casually for a person your same age, or even lower, tu. Aap is, I used to always wonder. Then when I looked into it, it's because Allah wants you just to be so casual and personal with Him. with respect, of course. So he's so personal. You just say, give me this, Ya Allah. That relationship is very, that's the relationship we really need to develop. I'll give you an example. There's a Pakistani brother who's moved to Turkey some years ago. He's learned Turkish and he's married a Turkish wife. Well, at that time, he was trying to marry a Turkish wife. He had no money. He makes $400, $500, $600 a month, just about surviving, and finds a woman to marry. Now, Turks they're very insular in that sense. They don't easily marry outside. MashaAllah, some communities there, it's getting easier in England, but it's difficult. Moroccans, mashallah, they'll give their daughters to anybody. They're very open-minded about that, but others don't. So Turks are like that. So mashallah, somehow he got fixed up with this woman, met her father and everything. But the question was, have you got enough money for a wedding? Money talks everywhere. Money is necessary everywhere. Have you got enough? Now, he makes $400, $500. That's not enough for a wedding. Wedding is at least $2,000, $2,500 there, at least, minimum. I know here, mashallah, you guys go for the 30s and 40s and 50,000 pounds. But there, the basic $2,500, you can do an acceptable wedding. He's wondering, how am I going to do it? They kept asking, do you have money? And he's thinking, I need to organize this. And finally, when it came to the crunch, he decided, you know what, I've got a friend in Pakistan who's, maybe he can give me 1,000. This guy, other guy, maybe I can get 500 from him. This other guy, maybe 500. He's thinking like this the day before. And then what happens is, he goes to the masjid of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, radiyallahu anhu, which is you can call it the spiritual landmark in Istanbul. They revere, because Sahabi is supposed to be buried there, and they have a lot of respect for that place. So he went there. He said, where's the best place I can go to? He went there and he said, I stayed there and cried and prayed to Allah for 3 hours. And he said it was just a casual, like, Ya Allah, you've promised this. Like he was talking to Allah. Because when we make dua, for those of us who are not yet in the fully love field, then we make dua, but our duas are not very personal. They usually, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are certain du'as that we've learnt and we make those du'as. But we don't speak to Allah. Like just literally, Ya Allah, I have nothing. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I have full trust in you because you've always helped and you've promised. Like I don't want to do that 3 hours here, but I don't even know exactly what he said. He said he made the du'a, he cried for 3 hours. And then he finished. Next day he's at work. Actually, no. He checks his email before he goes to work. He received an email from a big Islamic publisher. He was working for a printing company, Turkish printer. So he got a message at 4 o'clock in the morning. He didn't see it until later. He got to work. He picked it up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that's 4 hours later. Goes to work. Gets an estimate from them. They want to print with that printing company this many sets of Quran. Right? They're a big company. They want to print this many hundreds of sets. Multi-volume ones. So he gets a quote. It's about $170,000 US dollars. He sends it to them within an hour or two in the morning. They ask for a bit of discount. He talks to the company, gives them a, 5, 7, 10% discount. And they agree. And he says, usually this is not the case. Number one, this is a massive order for $170,000 or whatever. That's a big order. Usually the orders are 10, 15, 20,000, 25,000 maybe. 170,000 is a big order. Then he says what happens is still the morning time. Or by the afternoon, they have transferred 70% nearly of the funds before any printing has taken place. I deal with printers, that's not normal. Usually, some printers, they'll ask you for 50% advance if they don't know you. And some of these guys, they'll give you credit or they'll 10%, 15%, 20%. These guys give 70% of the funds. The guys at the printers have never seen so much money come in at once. The treasurer is like, is it seriously? Has all of this money come in before we've done anything? Now, the boss is obviously very happy. First time he's so exhilarated like this. And he looks at him because he bought the business, because he had the contacts. He said, you know what? I'm getting married a few days and I need $10,000. It's like, how much should I ask for him? I need $10,000. And the boss gives him, he goes, okay, the boss agrees, $10,000. He gives him a debit card or credit card with 4,000 balance on there. So he goes, use this, and he gives him, goes downstairs to the treasurer, the guy with the cash, and he's counting the other $6,000 worth of whatever it was, whether it was local liras or whatever. I didn't ask him the question. This guy is just sitting there, can't believe what's happening, that he's going to get $10,000, but he still doesn't believe it. He's in disbelief, and he's just like, can't wait. The guy's like, hurry up, count quickly so that this boss doesn't change his mind. So he's thinking any moment the boss is going to say, no, that's all we got, or whatever, and give him, change his mind. This guy carries on, and mashallah, as soon as he counts the money, gives him the 6,000 plus the credit card, he said, I didn't even go up to get my laptop or anything, I ran out of the building before he changes his mind. I call my wife and I say, hurry up, come quickly, let's go to the mall. You buy what you need to buy, but spend this 4,000 on the credit card, on the debit card first, because they could cancel it, they could block it. And mashallah, he said, we had a wedding and a half. 2 days ago, I couldn't even imagine it. 1 day ago, I could not even, I was struggling to think. But that 3-hour conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me $10,000. And now, mashallah, Allah works. It's just, we don't get personal with Him. That personal, that getting beyond kind of the ritualistic and actually talk, Ya Allah, this is my situation. I'm weak. Help me out. If I'm weak, oh Allah, I'm weak. Help me out. I mess up all the time, man. Look, I didn't do this. I did this wrong. Ya Allah, forgive me. It's that conversation that is so private and personal that makes that difference. When a person then has that kind of love for Allah, they will love everything about Allah, everything related to Allah. They will love the masjid. They will love the people, the believers. They will do anything for the masjid and for any work related to Allah. They will love the imam. They will, because everything, they will love the teacher that teaches them or their children. Because all of this is bringing us and giving us a better idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They'll be willing to do whatever it is for these people. And then you will start seeing the blessings. And I can give you, we have very short amount of time, but there are so many examples. There are so many examples of people who did good for the sake of the religion. And you know what the blessing of that is and the benefit of that is? When you respect everything related to your religion. The books, the Quran, the Imam, the people who work for Allah, for whatever. You respect all of that. We benefit, but even greater so, our children and our descendants until the day of judgment will continue to benefit. Seen this in so many cases. There's a great scholar, Shamsul 𝗲𝗓, actually, Al-Halwani. His father was a mithai seller. Do you know what mithai is? Mishti, Indian sweets. Well, it wasn't Indian sweets, it was probably Persian sweets, or wherever he was from, the Khurasan region. Whatever sweets they had, chocolate seller, whatever, right? And whenever a person of religion, related to religion came, he would give them a discount. He will give them something for free, just out of respect for that. We're not talking about in some cultures where you give so much to the imam that he becomes fat. That's not the point here, okay? But out of respect for the religion, his son becomes one of the greatest scholars, that he's called Shamsul 𝗲𝗓, the son of the imams. And his father was a normal guy. Okay, that was many hundreds of years ago. In Blackburn, there's a very big mufti, a big shaykh. A very righteous, very knowledgeable person. His father, again, was had a corner shop. Anytime religious people, somebody to do with religion would come, he would respect them, give them whatever, And mashallah, his son becomes one of the greatest muftis of that area. And this, I can go on and on. And just to finish off, Ya Allah, the bigger you are, the bigger the benefits. I just visited Ethiopia. I've been wanting to go to Ethiopia for the last 12 years. Ethiopia is just below Sudan, right, near Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea. Why do I want to go to Ethiopia? Because I used to go on Ethiopian Airlines to different places in Africa. So I thought, you know what? This is when Najashi, radiallahu anhu, the Negus. Long story, we don't have time for the full story. But that's where the Prophet ﷺ had said, when the persecution had started in Mecca, before Medina Munawwara was open, he said, there's a very nice king who lets people live in peace and is very just in Ethiopia, Abyssinia at the time. So go there. So that's why they had Sahaba who went there. So I was like, I want to check this place out. Where is this? So finally, after 12 years, just last month, this month actually, earlier on this month, I managed to get to Ethiopia. And from Addis, which is the capital, we flew to Mekelle. And from there to the Tigray region, which had a war until 2 years ago. MashaAllah, we got to the area where Najashi is buried, and 15 Sahaba are buried there. Okay? 5 women, 10 men. They're the ones who passed away there. Others came back. Like Ja'far radiallahu anhu, who had the whole incident with Najashi. And then he came. Now Najashi radiallahu anhu had eventually become Muslim. But he had to hide it because his people weren't willing to. They said, you're a good guy, but why have you messed up your religion? So he hid his religion. And he carried on. But eventually, when he passed away, the Prophet ﷺ has only once in his life done the janazah prayer for somebody who is not present. And that was in Medina Munawwara for Najashi in Abyssinia. Other people that were close to the Prophet ﷺ died in different places, but he never did there. If he wasn't there, he didn't do the prayer. Whoever was there, they did the prayer. They did it for Najashi only. Very exclusive. He was a great, amazing person that he did this salat for him. Okay, why do I tell you all of this? When I went to Ethiopia, I saw, and again, this is my assessment, I saw the blessings of that and the dua the Prophet ﷺ had made for him and so on among the people there. Muslims and Christians. Very different society to pretty much most other countries that I've been to. I've been to about 60 countries, so I can't say every country in the world, but very different. Very insular, very old, ancient civilization. And they still have a lot of things. Both Muslims cover, the women, Muslim cover, but even many of the Christian women cover somehow or the other. They have some kind of white hijab or some kind of covering. Not everybody, but. And then after on the third day, I'm traveling around and I'm thinking, I don't see any pigs. Because officially it's majority Christian, over 50%. But they say that they just do that for getting foreign aid or something. God knows, Allah knows best. You see Muslims everywhere. Pray salat wherever you want. So I don't see any pigs. Usually Christians, unfortunately, they consume pork. I don't see any pigs. So the brother who was with us, he said they don't consume pig here. And that could be the Old Testament, because the Old Testament actually prohibits it. You can hardly find pork in the whole country. Just nice, elegant, decent people. Interestingly, I met a Pakistani brother. He is there selling mobile phone parts. He's been there for a month or 2. Tell me what you think of the the Ethiopians. He said, most of the Muslims there, they pray. The common Muslim, they pray. He was probably comparing it what his experience in his country is. But the majority, I didn't have enough time to check that out. He said the majority of them will do salat. Once we prayed at an airport, and so many women, others, they prayed with us. And number 2, they're so soft-hearted. Just as Najashi was so soft and he cried when he heard the verse of Surah Maryam. He said, these people, if you, in his words, agar unke samne roye dohe, right, which basically means that if you express your need in front of them in that humble way, they will assist you, even though Ethiopia is not a very wealthy country. It has the second largest Muslim minority after India. India has 200 million, here is 130 million is the population, right? So the barakah of somebody doing good for the Sahaba, I see this as Najashi doing good for the Sahaba, the Negus. There's still a blessing of that I felt there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Essentially, does that mean 5 more minutes? I'm done. Yeah. Jazakallah, very kind, very generous. MashaAllah, barakah coming. Right. So, yeah, I try to stay on time. So, what I was saying is, do good for yourself. Get connected to Allah on a personal level. You're like, where do I start? Just don't talk to Him. Seriously. Okay, I'll give you one last story. There's a girl who was 8 years old, and her brother was 10 years old. Right? Little kids. The brother came back from the opticians, and they said he needed glasses. So the sister started making fun of him. You know, like they do. Right? Did you have a sister? Make fun of you anytime, just mess around with you. Yeah, they do that, right? It's normal, casual. You're going to get glasses. You're going to get glasses. Did that happen to you? Yeah? So the mum comes in and she says, don't make fun of him because your dad has glasses. Your mum has glasses. He's got glasses now, your older brother. So you're probably going to get glasses. Probably genetic. So she shut up. She didn't say anything. And nobody knew what was going on after that, but it was finished, diffused. 10 years later, how old is she now after 10 years? She's 18. And she's got now younger siblings. They need glasses as well, and she doesn't. Can you believe it? She doesn't need glasses. Like, what happened? So then she reveals, when a discussion came up, that mashallah, everybody has glasses, you don't got. Yeah, you know, mum, when you told me to stop making fun of your brother because you're probably going to get glasses, meaning I'm probably going to need glasses as well because everybody has glasses, I just started making dua to Allah. Ya Allah, I don't want glasses. I don't want glasses. Ya Allah, please keep me away from glasses. What dua she made? Everybody has glasses except her. Allah works. It worked for him, for her. And can you imagine the iman? That when you see Allah in action, we just don't try. Allah is in action all the time. Have you not noticed that Allah has given us things without even asking for it? You know, everything we've got, has it always been something you've worked to get? There has never been a bonus in your life? Of course there's been bonuses. Additional things you've got as a gift, or you just got lucky with something. This is Allah giving us. His power is in action. He can give us. Just needs to see us, not like just some basic, you know, He wants us to talk to Him because He wants that relationship with us. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ, as Allah mentions, run to Allah, hasten to Allah. Allah is telling us in the Quran. And sometimes, you know, people are going to die and they don't have a relationship with Allah. Yes, they've tried their best to observe the obligations and keep away from the prohibition, but they've never developed. Ya Allah. There's one book I was reading, mashallah, the Book of Wisdom, right? In there he says, the Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari, he says that when you raise your hands to Allah to ask Him for something, then know that He wants to give you, otherwise He would not have even allowed you to raise His hands. Subhanallah. Another thing he says, this is talking about the real relationship with Allah. He says, when you've done a good deed, and then you're like, I done a good deed, I want some thawab, I want some reward. Ya Allah, give me some reward. He said, think about it. You've already been rewarded. How have you been rewarded? You've already been rewarded that Allah considered you worthy of that good action in the first place. Otherwise, not everybody gets to pray and do tahajjud and so on, or help others. If you've already been given the tawfiq to do this, Allah is already helping you. Why are you going to ask for any reward after? That's already your reward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm going to stop here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to stick with our faith, get a personal relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, develop that, and may Allah assist us in everything. May Allah elevate the deen and allow us to honor the deen and everything related to the deen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
الرحمن فيضا من البركات أنجو من النيران ومخاطر